Welcome, one and all, to the show. Wired up, fired up, ready to go. BlueTruth, New York Rangers talk with myself, Brian Attard, powered by the Sportsbox Network. Like and follow on Facebook and Twitter and our new Instagram. Thank you to those who are watching the live stream. Appreciate that. Love to interact with you all. That's the fun of this. If you're watching the YouTube replay, thank you for that as well. Hit that subscribe button. Maybe you'll join the live stream one of these episodes. Today is Wednesday, April the 12th, episode number 30 of BlueTruth. It's the Henrik Lundqvist episode, if you will. Tonight, we will talk about where the Rangers stand with one completely meaningless game left in the 2022-2023 regular season. We'll take a look back at my fearless predictions from the start of the year as we close off. We'll see how close or far away I was on those. We'll look back at a few things I said around this time last year, maybe the year before, things that, you know, I'm not ashamed to say I was wrong about. So we'll take a look. And we'll look ahead at what could be an eventful spring for the Blue Shirts. Paulie, sweet video. What's up, brother? How are you? New York Rangers, hashtag NYR. We're going to talk about spam in groups tonight, and that's one you're not going to find any. I love those guys, so check them out. Ray, resident Devils fan. Brian, how are you? I mean, you and I might not be friends in a couple days. Ray, put that out. We'll see. Mark Brown, my brother. What now? I mean, let's stop stupid autocorrect. Michael Faris, hey, Brian, let's go Rangers. And Mario can't wait for the playoffs to start. So, if you're watching the show, give us a like, give us a follow. We appreciate that. Thank you for watching. We will start the show tonight. I would be remiss if I didn't start the show with the news of the day, and that is happy 55th birthday to Adam Graves, 1994 Cup champion, number 9, retired, and one of just the nicest guys. I had the opportunity to meet him at a Rangers event in the playoffs in 2017. There I am. And I was just starstruck. I absolutely loved Adam Graves as a kid. I wore number 9 for hockey growing up because of Adam Graves. And I think when you look back at 94, you know, the Yankees talk about this core 4. You know, the Rangers had this core 4 too of that Cup run. And Mark Messier, Brian Leetch, Mike Richter, and Adam Graves. And I think I've always felt that of those 4, like Graves is the one, for legitimate reasons or not, that gets the least credit. Because you had Messier, who was the messiah, the captain, the game 6 in New Jersey, the natural hat trick, the guarantee. And then you had Brian Leetch, Norris Trophy winner, stud defenseman. And then you had Mike Richter, who was obviously, you know, the goaltender. What I think is special about Adam Graves is that he was never necessarily the most talented guy, but he scored those dirty goals, those greasy goals. He obviously, you know, he had the Rangers record for goals in a season with 52 until Yags broke it in 06, but he never touched 40 any of the year of his career. He did break 30 a few times. Just a heart and soul guy. And I think if you want a correlation to the team this year from 94, I think the closest guy that I can come to would be Chris Kreider. So if Mika, just a little closer, if Mika is your Mark Messier, your number 1 center, if Adam Fox is Brian Leetch, obviously, and obviously if Shesterkin is Richter, then I think that in that equation, Graves is Chris Kreider. Closest I can get to. In any event, a very happy 55th birthday to Gravy. And man, I got to tell you, Adam Graves turning 55 makes me feel very old. I'm 39. So yeah, it is what it is. Kevin Spacito, let's go Canadians. It's a 3-2 Islanders, 16 minutes left in the third period in that game. Joe D'Angelo, what's the tiebreaker between Devils and Carolina? The Devils have it. Carolina needs to win. We'll talk about that. Peter, brother, how are you? Bob Gravy, 5-time McDonald Award winner, tells you how he's thought of all those years. Absolutely. We'll get to that for sure, Bob. Some discussion around that. So, thoughts on the Rangers season as it comes to a close. With one game left to go, the Rangers are locked into the number 3 seed in the Metropolitan Division. Carolina holds a 1-point lead on the Devils with one game each for both of them to play. Carolina visits the Florida Panthers. The Devils visit our nation's capital and the Washington Capitals, obviously. Devils have the tiebreaker. So Carolina does need to win to clinch the division. They control that. If they only get 1 point and the Devils win, the Devils will win the Metro. So we don't yet really know who the Rangers will play in round 1. But what we do know is that the Rangers will be traveling either to Raleigh, North Carolina, or to Newark, New Jersey. We'll touch on the potential matchups in a bit. But if you look, as this is kind of winding down now, again, the game against Toronto tomorrow night, it really doesn't matter. The Rangers are locked in. Toronto's locked in. Nobody's moving. The goal for tomorrow is to just get 60 minutes and don't get anybody hurt. The Leafs are sitting players. It just, the game means nothing. The game is nothing. Just get out of it alive. But if you look at this, to me, it's the tale of 2 seasons for the Rangers. The season to me breaks down as BHT and AHT. BHT being before helmet throw and AHT being after helmet throw. Before Jacob Trouba threw his helmet on December 3rd against the Blackhawks, in the first 25 games of the year, the Rangers were 11, 10, and 5, which was, or 26, whatever. This was 18th in the league, as average can be. 18th in goals for, 16th in goals against, just very blah. The vaunted power play, a robust 23rd in the league. Since Jacob Trouba threw his helmet on December 3rd against the Blackhawks 55 games ago, the Rangers are 36, 11, and 8 with 80 points in those games. The 4th most goals scored in the NHL, the 2nd fewest allowed. Had the Rangers maintained this 1.45 points per game pace the whole way, they'd have finished with 119 points. That would be pretty good. I say all of that to say this. You have to feel pretty good about where this team is right now. You do. They're a top 4 team since January 1st, a top 5 team since February 1st, and a top 5 team since March 1st. It's very easy and very casual, frankly, to look at the standings and see, well, they're 3rd in their division. They're opening up on the road. And you think that just because they didn't really have this great year. But since early December, they've been nothing short of fantastic. Have they had their down moments? Sure. All teams do. Have they been dominant at times? Absolutely. You can point to a couple of stretches where the Rangers have been dominant. You think back to just even recently, the weekend of shutouts, the Baker's dozen of goals against Pittsburgh and Nashville. But the one thing I hear from people, they seem to be very up and down with the efforts. But I think that there's a reason for that. They've been in 3rd in the Metro basically all year. In the grand scheme of things, these games just haven't mattered a whole lot. You knew from January on, it was going to be Carolina or New Jersey. For a team with a veteran core who went out and added 2 big-name veteran wingers with accomplishments and pedigree and playoff success, did the games in February and March really matter all that much other than getting guys acclimated to each other. I said this at the start of the season, and I really believe this to be true. For this team, the regular season just did not matter. They came into the year with legitimate expectations for the first time in forever. And really, all the 82 games were how they would handle those expectations. At the onset, frankly, not real well. Very rocky, very average. And then they got a wake-up call from their captain and became the team that people thought they could be. So when you look at it now, and you look at the potential to either play Carolina or New Jersey, I don't think their opponent, frankly, matters all that much. I don't think there's a team in the league that they can't beat. Not that they will or would, but there isn't a team I don't think that they can't. And that includes the Boston Bruins. I will take my chances against that team. What I'm saying is it's not a situation where you're going to go into a series thinking they're out of this already. If you watch the show, you know that while I love this team with every fiber of my being, the one thing I do not do, especially on this show, I don't think it makes any sense to do it, I don't cheerlead them. I don't pick them when I don't pick them to win if I don't legitimately think that they can. It's not about pride. It's not about fandom. I love them. Last year I picked them to lose to Carolina. Even though I said they could be a conference finalist, I didn't like that matchup. I picked them to lose. Guess what? They won. Awesome. Nobody was happier than me. But I call it like I see it. Doesn't mean I'm right all the time. So are they going to win? Dave Birnbaum. I don't know. We'll talk about it. Maybe, maybe not. When you look at Carolina's roster to me isn't as good as the team that Carolina was a year ago. And the Rangers beat that team. Carolina, for the most part, has generally struggled with the Rangers for a while now. They are a very, very strong defensive team. They are the best team in the NHL at suppressing shot attempts. At 5-on-5, Carolina takes over 60% of the shot attempts in games. That's best in the league, and it's not close. But they are an average scoring team, and they will miss Svechnikov a ton in the playoffs. Their bread and butter, though, is that they are an elite defensive team. Of all the teams in the league, they allowed the second fewest goals 5-on-5 all year. In a series potentially against Carolina, I think the difference ends up being the Rangers' depth, primarily the third line. Carolina can somewhat contain the top six, but the kids would have their chances against that team. Peter, honestly, the only game I had a problem with was the Devils game. That should have been a statement game. I don't disagree with that. I think that they played well. I think they played a good 40 minutes in a 60-minute game. Lessons learned. Paulie, I think we got it this year. We have too much firepower for Carolina. And I think that that's what I'm saying here, Paulie, is because, yeah, their defense might, you're talking three pairs, right? The third line is going to get their third D pair. So that's where your advantage lies. If the top two lines kind of neutralize each other, then I think it's the third line that makes the difference. So am I concerned about Carolina? No. Am I going to say the Rangers are going to beat Carolina? I mean, I hope that they do. I'm not going to sit here and guarantee anything. What I'm saying is I don't worry about them as a matchup. For the Devils haven't been in the playoffs in a very long time. And the important players on their team are young, which, yes, that's probably going to be a problem for us in the future. But they don't have playoff pedigree much at all right now, outside of maybe Andre Palat. Did Dougie Hamilton play a couple of rounds somewhere? Like, it's not a veteran-led team with a lot of playoff experience. They can score, though. They definitely can score better than Carolina. They were tied with the Bruins with 194 goals scored at 5-on-5 this year. That was number one in the league. Rangers were 10th in that metric, so again, no slouch. The Devils' power play, though, is only okay, and I think that that's somewhat surprising given the guys that they can put out there. When you look at the Hughes and the Bratts, I know they just got Timo Meier, it is by no means a shallow offensive team. But given that their power play is average and the Rangers' PK has been average most of the year, we'll call that a wash. But their goaltending is suspect, though. I think the numbers are a touch deceiving on the goaltending. Vitek Vanacek's goals against average through the year is actually, believe it or not, a touch better than Igor's. But I think that some of that can be attributed to Igor having the slow start. Vanacek has gotten worse as the season has progressed, whereas Igor's gotten better. Vanacek's got a 2.7 goals against average since February 1st. So in a series against the Devils, if it is the Devils, which odds are it's the Devils, but we'll see, I think the difference is going to be Shesterkin. Unbiased as I can possibly be, I have just a ton more confidence that Igor Shesterkin, arguably the best player at his position in the sport when he wants to be, can make the big saves when he has to. I don't think Vanacek will do the same. It's as simple as that. And these are all going to be home games for the Rangers. They just are. Rangers fans are going to get into that building. Not really worried. I guess what I'm saying is I don't fear either of these teams. And I think the people who say they would rather play Carolina, they're saying that because, again, we as Ranger fans are always conditioned to think the worst all the time. That's what Rangers hockey has been since 1926. But Rangers fans would rather not risk losing to the Devils over having a chance to beat the Devils. And I don't know if there's a little 2012, PTSD there, but they just don't want to be in a situation where they could lose to the Devils. Like, the people will avoid pain more than try to strive for pleasure. They're trying to avoid the pain potential of this Ranger team losing a first-round series to their Cross River rivals and that annoying, pesky Devils fan you probably work with who won't shut up because this will be their Stanley Cup. I think that that's where it comes from. I don't think necessarily that Ranger fans fear the Devils. I think they don't want to be around if the Devils beat the Rangers. Where the Devils are short in playoff pedigree, the Rangers have it in spades. Remember, the vast majority of this roster was playing in the conference finals last year. And to that core, you add in Cup winners, Patrick Kane and Vladimir Tarasenko. Guys like Kane and Tarasenko, it's not at all far-fetched, in my opinion, that this is the best shot for those guys left in their careers to go win a cup. And they know that. They know that. They wanted to come here to take this run. So much people make it. And guys, I'm in the groups. I see everything. People have just these ridiculous expectations of this team. So much is made of the inconsistency in the regular season. And from my vantage point, I could not care any less about that. These guys are going to put it all out there when they need to. And they haven't needed to. We talked about the end of last year that the Rangers going 7 in the first 2 rounds was a big issue in the third. And that they played hard at the end of last year to keep their spot. This year, they haven't really had to. You are not going to give a second thought to overtime losses to Buffalo when the playoffs start next week, and neither will the players. So all in all, I feel very good about where this team is. Does that mean anything? No. Does this roster being as deep as it is guarantee anything? No. Does them being the second best team in the league since Jacob Trouba threw his helmet on December 3rd mean anything at all? No, not really. And I know that as I'm saying this, because it sounds this way to me, that it seems like a cop-out, but it's not, and we should be very real about this. The range of outcomes for this team is as wide as anybody. They can win the whole goddamn thing, or they can lose in a short series in round one. It's just the reality of things. They absolutely can be better than last year and possibly not get as far. That's hockey. But having said that, I think we all have reason to feel good going into the playoffs. I don't think, me personally, I don't fear any team. I don't generally care if they play Carolina or New Jersey in round one, because in all likelihood, they will likely have to play the other in round two. And no, I really don't care if they lose in round one or round two. I'm not going to be any less mad if it's a second round out or a first round out. Guys, none of it matters. It's all cosmetic. But I will tell you this. There is, depending on the outcome of this game, there is a very, very distinct possibility that we all, as disgusting and dirty as you're going to feel, we all have to be Islanders supporters. And I won't say fans. I would never say that. But we do have to support the Islanders if they draw Boston. Because any which way Boston doesn't get to the third round is good for your New York Rangers. In any event, the Islanders winning a round, assuming they get in, which they should, but the Penguins are an embarrassment losing to Chicago the way they did, is a good thing for the Rangers, because that means the Islanders took down either Boston or whichever team ended up winning the Metro. So, again, I fear no team. Nothing is ever guaranteed. Remember, people talking about Boston in this great regular season they had, it wasn't that long ago that the 62-win Tampa Bay Lightning got swept in round one. Am I calling for that? No. Would I be happy? Yeah. Very much so. Because if I had to pick a team where like, oh man, Boston's that team. Boston's very good. Boston's very good. Can they beat Boston? Yes. Am I going to predict it? No. In fact, probably. If it comes to it, I'm probably going to pick Boston to beat the Rangers, because I have to call it like I see it. I can't cheerlead. It doesn't mean anything. You get nowhere just blowing your team up if they're not that good. The Rangers are a very good team. Boston is a very good hockey team, as their record indicates. But there's no team that they can't beat. So take that. Take it to the bank. Keith says, don't sleep on our fourth line either. Absolutely. Mark Brown, the Devils are last year's Rangers. They're playing with house money. I can see some of that, Mark. I'm not saying that you're wrong. I don't know that the Rangers were playing with house money last year, though. I mean, I think once they saw their shadow against Pittsburgh and got through it, I think at that point you're like, okay, well, we almost lost it at that point. So I see the correlation. Maybe. James Mickelson, a new name to the show. James, welcome. Igor's been lights out. He has. He's gotten a lot better as the season's gone on, and that's what you want. You don't want him to peak in October and November. Now is when you want him to be lights out. Guys, if you're watching the show, I would appreciate it if you give us a like. Many of you have already, but the way Facebook works primarily is the more likes you have, the more it gets spread out there. So if you can, I definitely appreciate the support for sure, to get more BlueTruth out there to wonderful Rangers fans just like yourselves. So again, I fear no team. I see the likes coming up. Thank you. I fear no team. They can go all the way. But let's be honest. If they lost in the first round, are you going to be like totally shocked? I'm not going to be totally shocked. Devils are a good team. Carolina's a good team. Rangers can beat them, but they're good teams. You know, if you really want to break this down, there's a road which takes you through New Jersey or Carolina, Boston, Tampa Bay, or Toronto finals. It's a hard road. It's a very hard road. If the Rangers are going to pull this off, it is not going to be easy. And I've said to you before, if you remember, again, if you've watched this show long enough, playoff hockey is stress and nausea to me. It is not fun. I feel sick all day. I get my gut. Like it is tense. It is stressful. It's only fun when it's over. Sometimes. And that's what we have. I mean, listen, You wait all year for this. So, if it means something to you, really means something to you, that's how you feel. Because every hockey playoffs are so much, it's so different than anything else. The parity, the variance, So I'm bullish on the team, I'll put it to you that way. And we'll talk more about that. Comments coming in. Let's see. Anthony Bartolomeo. I hope I pronounced that right. I apologize if I butchered it. Play Carolina. Well, again, that depends what happens tomorrow night. I'm okay either way. Kevin, if this team can get past the first round, I don't care who they lose to. It's a failure. Oh no, it is a failure. I mean, Kevin, anything short of a parade in June's a failure to me right now. I don't care about how good Boston is. I don't care about I don't care about any of that. This team is built to win now. Not next year, not the year after, now. So it's cup or bust. Anything short of that, it's a failure. It's a failure to me. Maybe I have higher expectations. I don't know. I've always said, if you're not, Ricky Bobby, if you're in first, you're last. One team wins. Looks like the Islanders scored a goal, so it's 4-2. So that's probably curtains in that game. I think they're going to get in. A Devils fan, Ray Lee, Islanders can beat Boston. They can. Anybody. I mean, again, the right things go, yeah, but I would love to see it, and I hate that team so much. So much. Nancy Ward, hi, how are you? Sit Miller, play Harper? No, I don't think that you can sit Keandre Miller. I know people talk about that. I can't do it. I don't think that makes – I don't see it. I don't see it. Peter, unless he's really bothered by injuries, Kane will make Rangers fans very happy in the playoffs. Stop with the stupid post. But Peter, that's the thing, because I agree with you. He came here for this run. Do you really give a shit what he does against Nashville and Buffalo and Montreal? I mean, come on. Does it really matter? No. Do you really want them giving their all in games that generally don't matter? No. You want that tank full come next week. But I'm telling you, Ranger fans are just like, oh, this team's no good. They're going to lose. Like, okay. They might. I'm not saying they're not going to, but it's not. You're going to see a different team next week than you're seeing now because the games matter next week. And you want them to preserve that. I on the Sports Box, which powers this whole thing, we've had some really great guests on General Sports Talk. We had Leo Mazzoni on, who was the Atlanta Braves pitching coach when they were good in the 90s. And he said, the goal was to, 80% effort. Don't blow yourself out. The pitchers who could do that were better off. I mean, that's how you have to feel. You don't want them balls to the wall in March because they have to be. They didn't have to be. So, again, I mean, people just have these they need to be perfect all the time. There's no team's perfect all the time. No team. Garrett Lutsky, yup, on the aisle. Sorokin can steal some games from Boston. That's your hope. All you want is some team to get hot and knock them off. It's happened before. It'll happen again. I'm not predicting it, but boy, would it be good to see. And I hate the Islanders, so you know where my heart is on that. Gunner, not even a little scared of Carolina or the Devils. Tampa, Boston, the Leafs, or Florida, they're a different story. I'd still take this Rangers group getting the W. Again, they've been there. They've done that. I'm not overly concerned. They could lose. I'm not saying they're not going to, but they could. Garrett, big thought on Boston's. Their goaltending has been regular season tested with tons of pressure. No idea how Allmark will play. That's true. That's true. I mean, look, when you go to a team like Boston, if whoever they play happens to steal game one, I mean, narratives get shattered. I mean, I think people are looking for Boston to sweep teams and make, basically wipe their ass with them. And I don't know. Playoff hockey is different. Look, Boston's very good. I mean, they're the prohibitive favorite to come out of the East, right? I mean, say whatever you want to. They are. Tampa Bay was a prohibitive favorite too. Probably more so. It was a weaker conference at that point. Bob, we need to put up with first period perils like we have been. I mean, they've had slow starts, I'm sure. But I don't think motivation is going to be a factor in the playoffs. I don't think. Again, for the team that went through this last year, the run that they had, to bring in guys. I mean, look, if you get a lackadaisical 10 minutes, Kane's talking, Tarasenko's talking, Kreider's talking, Zibanejad's talking. I mean, they're going to get them ready to go. The experience last year, as much as I am a win, if you're not going to win, lose guy, I can't discount the fact that they went through that run last year. They saw their death a bunch of times, and they were able to get through it. They finally got a lead. It couldn't stand prosperity. They need to learn to close. And if they intend to make a deep run, I got to tell you, they really can't be going 7 games in these 2 series. Can't. Just kills you. Right, I probably will be. I don't know which games yet. I usually get to go to a game per round. If I had to probably guess, maybe it's game 4. I don't really know. I'll let people know because it'll be great to meet people wherever we are. But yes, I can't wait. The playoffs are great. Robert Simpson, last time New York, New Jersey winter teams all made the playoffs, we won the cup. Good. Let's hope it sticks. Hockey playoffs are so fun to watch, only when the Rangers are not playing in the game. Oh, yeah. When you have a rooting interest, you want to kill yourself the entire time. I'm half joking. Like, you just don't want to be around. Like, you really would. If your team is winning, time stands still. If your team is losing, everything is sped up. That's hockey. It's just the most uncomfortable playoffs. I also tiebreaker with Florida, so Florida needs to win against Carolina. If they lose, the Islanders stay in the division with Carolina. Okay. I mean, they have something to play for sure. I mean, the Islanders are going to win here. So, Ken says the team has a 2 to 3 year window. In 3 years, our top 6 will be low to mid 30s. So it's to me, it's win now. Ken, I've been preaching that for months. This is why they had to be aggressive. But this team's built to win now because of the moves that you made. You went out and brought these players in who are not going to be here next year. Cap's going to be a bitch. Harper or Mill may not be the answer. But why do you think he seemingly regressed on his non-duress high-danger error? Chelsea's bailed him out over and over again. That's my one concern. Growing pains. Had a great offensive year. We'll talk about that in just a minute because I have my predictions I'm going to look back on. I'm not worried about it. I'm just not. I mean, look, I mean, nobody's going to play perfect all the time. They're just not. It's just not going to happen. So I think to expect it, you're just dooming yourself to failure. My Furries, Tampa or Toronto could be Boston. That's true. When you have a Tampa goalie, anything is possible. But the bottom line is we control our own destiny. The Islanders have won 4-2. The Islanders have clinched a playoff berth. Kevin, however long it lasts, who's going to lead the team in points for the playoffs? Mika Zibanejad. Or Adam Fox, but Mika Zibanejad, I think. Anthony, I think it's probably going to be the Devils, but it could be Carolina, one of the 2 teams. So again, feel good. You know, go into it with an open mind. I think they have a legitimate shot in it. I want to take a moment or 2 or 3 or 5 to look back at the preseason predictions that I made on this show to see if I was right, wrong, indifferent, kind of close, nowhere near it. I'm not ashamed to say I'm wrong a lot. When you have an opinion on everything, you're wrong a lot. Number 1. I said that Chris Kreider would not score 50 goals, but he would score 40. Looks like he's just going to fall a little short. 36 goals in 78 games. It is still the second best goal output of his career. It is 8 higher than the 28 he put up in 2016-17 and 2018-19. Notably, while we're on the Kreider topic, BlueTruth ran a poll asking you all if Chris Kreider's number 20 would be retired by the Rangers. 79% of people said yes, it would be. And I think there's an interesting case for that. Number 1, Chris Kreider currently is 5th all-time in goals by a Ranger with 263. If he gets 18 more next year, which is highly probable barring injury, then that puts him 3rd all-time behind Rod Gilbert and behind Jean Rattel. I think it's more than probable that he gets 20 set up to the rafters at this point. They love to make money. That's one thing the Rangers are very good at is printing money. They can market the hell out of that. I'm not unhappy with Chris Kreider's year. I was very vocal about trading him prior to his extension. Happily wrong about that so far. I have a feeling the last couple of years we're not going to be pretty, but we're not there yet. So in the moment, I'm okay. The production at his cap hit at the moment, I'm perfectly fine with. What's going to happen in the future? Maybe not so much. But for right now, it's okay. So I said he'd get 40. He's going to fall a couple short of that. And that's Chris Kreider. Secondly, I predicted Artemi Panarin would break his career high in goals of 32 and career high in points of 96. Just like Kreider, he is going to fall a little bit short. Through the 81 games, Panarin sits with 28 goals and 91 points. So unless he goes ape shit against the Leafs in a game that doesn't matter and gets 4 goals and 5 points, he's going to fall a little short. Same as with Kreider. I'm not at all unhappy with Panarin's production, but he needs to do it in the playoffs now. Last year, outside of the overtime winner in Game 7, he was just not very good. For the Rangers to get anywhere, they need him to be the Panarin that we've seen in the regular season. He needs to produce in April and May and June, period. If he has another muted points run, and however long the playoffs go, people are going to really start to question him. And rightfully so at that point. Terry, how are you? Peter. So, but again, Peter, think back to when this was. Chris Kreider at his age was going to get this long-term deal. He got that long-term deal. He was not a spring chicken anymore. And remember, revisionist history, the deal that was apparently on the table was Jordan Kyrou and a 1 from St. Louis. Now, Jordan Kyrou outscored Chris Kreider this year. Call it what it is. Again, I mean, it's these contracts at the back ends of these deals for older players. It just doesn't. It's never good. It's working out right now. No, it's okay. In time, we may think differently. Number 3. I said that this would be the last year in New York for Filip Chytil. Thankfully wrong on that one. Clearly, I was wrong there. Chytil signed a 4-year deal at the end of March. I'm glad it worked out. We'll be talking more about the Chytil deal later on in the show. But again, I didn't think he would be here for cap reasons primarily. I'm a happy boy on that one. So great. Great to be wrong on Filip Chytil. I said that K'Andre Miller was going to explode this year, and I would like to say that I was correct about that. As we've talked about already on the show tonight, I know that he has his defensive lapses from time to time, but he has over doubled his point total from a year ago. That's really, really solid improvement. And I know that he's due for a contract in the summer. I have no doubt he's going to get it, but I do think it's going to be more of a bridge deal. Same for Lafreniere. The cap is the cap. It is what it is. But I think you have to be happy with the growth with Miller, especially on the offensive side of things. I predicted that Igor Shesterkin and Adam Fox would once again be nominated for the Vezina and the Norris. As part of that, I predicted that Shesterkin would win and Fox would not. Well, I think that Igor's slow start to the year may have taken him out of contention for the Vezina. Plus, I think Linus Ullmark might have it wrapped up. But he sure has looked a lot better as of late. And let's be real, that's really all that matters. I do think Adam Fox gets nominated for it, but I don't see how they just don't give it to Erik Karlsson in this renaissance year simply on the points production on a bad team. I've said before, and I'll say again, these individual awards are nice, but any hockey player worth anything only cares about the cup anyway. Nobody is going to worry about the Vezina or the Norris if there's a parade in June. So it is what it is. Nominations, wins, losses. I don't think they're going to end up with the trophies. We'll see. I predicted that Patrick Kane would be traded to the New York Rangers at the deadline, and I'm going to wave the flag. I got that right too, because it was the day before, thanks to the salary cap. The price was right. He wanted to be here. All good. It is really, I mean, now that we're a couple weeks detached from this, like I know we went through that weird sitting guys, playing guys, making the cap number. The hockey cap is stupid. It's a little insane that Drury got both Tarasenko and Patrick Kane and still has a first-round pick in this draft. Kudos. Kudos. Happy about that. Roy Soretsky, I think they should trade him. He's the softest big D-man in the league. Bring up Robertson next season. Well, they may have an opening anyway, and Robertson may fill that. I don't think Keandre Miller is going to be fine. They're going to give him a deal, probably a bridge deal. Again, he doesn't need to go lay people out. Trouba can do that. I predicted that the New York Rangers would win the Metropolitan Division, and clearly they fell a little short there. They fell short primarily because they started the year off 11-10-5, because as we know, if they were the post-12-3 Rangers, the team the whole way, they run away with it. It is what it is. They're playing better at the end of the year. Not unhappy about it. It's going to be fine. The only personal trophy I want for the Rangers player is playoff MVP. Sure, Conn Smythe. I predicted, finally, that the Rangers would go to the Stanley Cup Finals. Now, clearly, we don't know. Maybe. Haven't been proven right or wrong on this one, but look, they still have the team that can do that. As I said earlier, I don't think there's a team that they can't beat. Doesn't mean they will by any means. But nobody is a hard, we have no shot against them. And that includes Boston. And I know, we are all rooting for me to be right here. Two things that BlueTruth has said that we ended up getting very wrong and are happy to be wrong. If you watch this show, I know most of you do, and I love that, by the way. There are things I have said that time has proven me, I think, to be wrong about. And that's wonderful. For example, BlueTruth said that the Rangers would regret not trading for Jack Eichel, and signing Mika Zibanejad. I had my doubts at the time that Zibanejad was a true number one center. And truth be told, I still have reservations of what the last few years of an 8-year deal will look like. But he's just been phenomenal. He's been phenomenal. New career high in points this year with 90. That's 9 more than he had last year. 39 goals with 1 game to go. That's the second best number of his career. And I think that his importance to the team was best illustrated in that Kings game, where he took the slap shot off his ankle and was helped off the ice, and we all thought the season was over. I know I did. When he was limping off the ice, he had to be helped off. I said, it's done. Don't worry about Patrick Kane. Pack it up. There are 3 guys who this team absolutely can't win anything without. Adam Fox, Igor Shesterkin, and Mika Zibanejad. I think they can get by if any other individual is out, but neither of those 3. Now, Jack Eichel's been a point-per-game player in Vegas this year, and I still think he's fantastic, but Mika's been everything we could have asked for and then some. So far, he's proven me wrong, and I couldn't be happier about that. Will the back end of the deal be pretty? Probably not. But we're not there yet. That's 6 years away. We all may, who knows? So, thank you, Mika, for proving me wrong. I'm happy to be wrong about that. Very, very happy. Peter, and Zib is the most underrated center in the league. And that's the thing. I agree. Because I think that there's still people who say he's not a number one. He's not a number one. I said that. Mea culpa. I said that. He's been great. It's been very, very good. BlueTruth was also wrong about 2021-22 being the Rangers' best shot at a Stanley Cup. I said last year, going into the playoffs, that it would be the Rangers' best shot at winning a cup before the salary cap wreaked havoc on the roster. Mika's deal hadn't taken effect yet. Fox's deal hadn't taken effect yet. We didn't know at that time what the Rangers were going to do at second line center, and they had plenty of other doubts around what this year was going to look like. And I can say, without a shadow of a doubt, that this Rangers team is better, deeper, and more balanced than last year's Rangers team. And from that standpoint, clearly, the Rangers going into the playoffs this year have a better chance to win it all than last year. Arguably, every single line and every single pair is better this year than last year. You replaced Ryan Strome, Andrew Kopp, and Frank Vetrano with Vincent Trocheck, Patrick Kane, and Vladimir Tarasenko, which are wins across the board. You replaced Justin Braun with Nico Mikkola. That's a win. And look, Mikkola, who I was down on with all the penalties he took when he first showed up here, I mean, he played really well in an expanded role when Lindgren was out, up on the top pair with Adam Fox. Great pickup. Very important. Played huge minutes down the stretch. That guy's going to be an important piece for this team. If he plays like that in the third pair, major addition. The young players who were in the same role as they were last year, this year, have improved. When you look at the kid line, they look a lot better so far this year. K'Andre Miller scoring points. Braden Schneider's played a lot better. They're all better than last year. And really, we always hear how important third lines are in the playoffs. And how can you not feel good about this third line? Is there a more talented third line in hockey? Well, seriously, I'm not even kidding. I'm not cheerleading or anything. Is there a better third line in the league? And all of them have played very well this year, led by Filipino, being a good example of why you just don't get rid of young players who are still finding their way, for those of you out there who want to get rid of 13 and 24 because you're impatient. And you have to like what you've seen from the fourth line as well. These are all good things. This is a very good hockey team and a very deep hockey team. This Rangers team arguably is their best top to bottom roster since they won it all. So I am happy to have been wrong that last year was their best shot. I think this year is their best shot. The deadline additions are very, very, very likely to just be here for this one run. And that's okay. It is what it is. After this season, in all likelihood, they will again be looking for 2 top 6 right wingers and probably a fourth line center, because I think Barclay Goodrow is going to be out the door for cap reasons. But they have a great opportunity here. We'll see what they do with it. Comments coming in. Bill Jansen. Hey, Brian, let's go Rangers. Brother, how are you? I hope I'm not wrong. I feel Meek will be better in the playoffs. Peter, he's been great. He wasn't brought in to play top line minutes with Adam Fox. He was brought in to play third line minutes with Braden Schneider. He played great. Nothing you can't ask for more. You can't. Are they the best bottom 6? That's a fair question. And it's great because when you have the structure that you have, and now guys are properly slotted. Goodrow and Mott and VC, great fourth line guys, great depth. That's what you need to be successful in the playoffs. You can roll 4 lines, keep guys rested. So, I mean, I'm tickled pink. I mean, this is their deepest team. This is their best shot to win a Stanley Cup. And hopefully they can do something about that. I noted earlier in talking about the predictions, the Philip Chytil contract. As noted in the review, center Philip Chytil signed a 4-year, just under $18 million deal. And frankly, there is a lot to unpack. Number one, that's a great deal for the team. I think it was certainly a below market deal for a 23-year-old center coming off his breakout year. And it's so easy to forget that he's 23. He was drafted and playing in Ranger Blue before the letter went out in 2018. This is his 6th season, and he turns 24 later this year. So I mentioned it before, and it's worth revisiting. It's a prime example of why you don't give up on guys that are 21, 22 years old. The people who want to move on from Kakko and Lafreniere only need to look at their center to see why that's not really a great idea. As a result, they have their 3 centers down the middle in their top 9 set for the next 4 years, if they want to, at just under $19 million. I say if they want, because Trocheck's no movement clause goes to a modified no trade after 25, and Chytil has no protection. So just say they can make moves if they need to. If they want to keep this group together down the middle, center forever, I mean, going back to Gomez and Drury has been a weakness. Not a weakness anymore. And good teams are strong down the middle. Rangers are strong down the middle. It's really amazing how good this team is. Ideally, as Chris Kreider ages and drops down to the 3rd line, so does Trocheck. And Chytil moves up. I think that's a solid longer-term plan. 2, I love that Chris Drury wasn't sitting on his hands after the trade deadline and has one eye on the future of this team, which he should, of course. But these sorts of deals don't generally happen this time of year between the deadline and the end of the year. It makes me think that he is proactively in contact with Lafreniere's agent and Miller's agent to try to get a head start on the offseason. With limited cap space to work with and a bunch of players to fit, getting this done now helps a ton. And here's a point that I think is the biggest out of all. Doesn't Chytil making under 4.4 put a bit of a cap on what Lafreniere can get? Chytil is 6 goals clear of Lafreniere as of today. I don't think that from a production standpoint, Lafreniere can ask for more than Chytil, right? I think it does a nice job of setting the salary structure, setting the table on the team for this offseason. And I did not think there was any way that Philip Chytil would be back because, big reason in my mind, he was the 3rd line center. There was a bit of a ceiling on top of him when Trocheck signed his deal to get the number 2 spot locked up. I thought that when Trocheck signed, that was curtains for Chytil. And I thought he could easily surpass Trocheck's number on the open market in the summertime, and the Rangers just couldn't afford him at that point. So getting this deal done ahead of negotiations, especially with Lafreniere, I think puts Drury in a great position of strength. All good things. I'm happy all around about this. Michael, I hope to see you there too, but I'm definitely looking forward to that. Mario, Concilio, Nikkei, and Tarasenko, Bruce in the playoffs. If they do, we'll go very far. Let's go Rangers. Bill, I think they can keep Mikkel in the offseason affordable. Thoughts? See, Bill, I don't know. Because, look, Zach Jones is he ever going to play? Robertson, these guys that you put picks into? I mean, you got to get low dollar production out of the spot. So, Peter, if you can touch on Brad for a few in this year's playoffs, I'm expecting a big playoffs. He will shoot and score more. Absolutely. I think he has to. I think he's a competitor. I think he knows that he doesn't want to become a regular season point producer. Like it's fantasy hockey. Nobody cares. He wasn't around. People forget he wasn't around when the Hawks won cups. So he wants one. I think he has to play, but I think that he can. I think that I actually think that there's less stress on him because of the team that he's on. Again, he's not the only guy. So I think that may break the chains a little bit for him. Kevin, aside from the Boots trade, Drury's nailed every other move. Hard to disagree. Hard to disagree. I think Buchnevich was kind of forced. I thought that maybe they felt that was maybe he just literally liked Sammy Blais for whatever reason. Okay, but nobody's perfect. Bob, will be even better in the playoffs than last year. We're set with 4 lines. We're deep defensively. Bench 2. It's not time to get to the final. Then we'll see. Brian Miller, bridge deal for Laffy? Probably yes. Yeah, I don't think that there's. I think that they have to bridge Lafreniere and they have to bridge Miller. They have no choice. The number is the number. Peter, thank you. I look at it again. I just think it's a masterstroke because you were setting the table. So here, look, this guy got 4-4. I mean, can't give you more than 4-4. They get you in there, 3. Okay, we'll do 3 for 2 years. More than you're making now. Range of 12 in cap, 7 spots to fill. Yeah, I think this is going to be closer to 16 because I think they're going to get rid of Barclay Goodrow. That's a call I have for the offseason. I think Goodrow's gone. Which he doesn't care. He has money. But I think it's not going to work. I think it was a somewhat ill-advised contract when it was made because, that's just that player at that number. Lafreniere could point to him and say, I'm not producing him. He's making 3.6. Brian Miller, this is the most comfortable I've seen him in a while. I think it comes down to Tarasenko mostly and Kane. Sure. The surroundings have never been stronger. Al Rastelli, call me crazy. I think Fox has been struggling a bit lately. They should sit in the next game, rest him for the playoffs. They'll be fine. That's very possible, actually, because, again, they can rest guys tomorrow night. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't. And Toronto doesn't care either. I mean, they're just trying to get through the game, not get anybody hurt. So I don't think you're not going to see this crazy. They don't care. I mean, they don't care. And nor should we. I might even watch that game. Who cares? What's going to happen? So that, to me, the Chytil contract is really good for the future of the team. Ryan Lindgren is your Stephen McDonald Award winner for the season because, of course, he would win that award. It is the 35th year of this award in memory of NYPD officer Stephen McDonald. Lindgren joins Chris Kreider, Adam Fox, and Mika Zibanejad as the only active Rangers who have won the award. Birthday boy Adam Graves won it 3 years in a row from 91-92 to 93-94. The only guy to win it 3 years in a row and then won it twice more at the end of that decade. And Lindgren absolutely, positively, 100% deserves this. He's a warrior. You see him get hurt and rush off the ice or limp off the ice, and then 9 times out of 10, he's on the bench 5 minutes later. And Sam's like, oh, Lindgren's back on the bench, Joe. It's a warrior in every sense. And the Rangers are a different team with him out there than without him, which is why so much was made of, is he ready to come back? Not ready to come back? Are we going to rush him? And again, that's when the reality pops out that these games really don't matter because we're working on the playoffs, right? Because if it mattered, he would play. And keep this in mind too. We haven't seen this team really at full capacity all that much because when Kane got here, Lindgren got hurt. So we haven't really seen the finished product that much. And I think that it's a really good finished product. 55 is a beast. Favorite player. I love him. I mean, cheap too. He was the throw-in in the deal for Rick Nash. Imagine if Lindgren on the Bruins. It's going to be a very boring game. Yeah, I think ticket sales are going to be, you get him real cheap. Mark with a good point. Lindgren Hunter is going to be a tricky one. Yeah. It's the cap. I mean, look, I don't know when the cap's going to go up. It'd be really good if it went up like now, but it's got to go up at some point. I have concerns about the whole thing with the RSNs, the regional sports networks, the bankruptcies going on. That's going to be a problem. I posted a picture of the Flyers game last night. Now I live in South Jersey. I hate these people. Nobody was there. Look, I hate them. They deserve all the pain in the world, but that's not good for hockey because the more revenue that comes in, the better it is for the league. So, like, as much as we can laugh about no one likes the Islanders, no one goes to Devils games, the Flyers game had about 12 people at it. I think more people in my house. And it's not good. So I agree with you, Mark, though, that contract's going to be tricky. But I think he's going to want to stay. So we'll see. We will see. Spot on. They play differently with 55s on the ice. Sure they do. It's amazing, actually. It's mind-boggling to a point. It is. Shouldn't have that much of an impact. But he does give Fox freedom to roam. So that's Foxy's game. Talk about Graves earlier. Lindgren reminds me of him, if you know what I mean. Not talent or position, but heart. So if I had to give a correlation, 94 correlation, Lindgren is Bukaboom. Leach is Fox. Bukaboom is Lindgren. Pairing, physical defenseman, heart and soul guy, warrior, as Book was. It's kind of the way I look at it. So we will see. We will see when game one is. It's going to be in Raleigh or it's going to be in Newark. I wouldn't be scared of either opponent. This is a cup or bust team this year. Like Taylor Swift said, of all people, it's going to be forever or it's going to go down in flames. And for this team, it could not be more accurate. When I sit here and I tell you that the regular season really doesn't matter, this is exactly what I mean. Whatever they did from October, whatever, to April 13th is of no relevancy as soon as the puck drops on game one in Raleigh or in Newark. It is all about the playoffs and making a run at a Stanley Cup. Next year's team has the potential to look very different than this group. This group with Patrick Kane and Vladimir Tarasenko is going to have one run. And they have a legitimate shot. It's going to depend what they do with it. But they have that shot. I think we'd all be lying to ourselves if we didn't say that they did. So we'll see. This is the stress and nausea period, so get ready for it. In some personal news for BlueTruth, the Facebook page has broken 3,500 followers, which is mind-blowing. You guys are awesome, and I love you. The follower base has well over doubled in size since the start of the year because you are all so wonderful. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You watching the show, interacting with the posts, interacting with me as I do this by myself in my office at home. This is what makes it fun. We all share the love of this team in all of us to our core. And the chance to be able to just interact with you all and just talk things through, it's awesome. I can't tell you how awesome it is. It's awesome. I've been considering creating a Facebook group for BlueTruth, primarily because, and look, I'm out there in Rangers Facebook spreading the good word of BlueTruth, and that's how many of you came across me. And I am just sick and tired of these people with these fake profiles promoting scam websites and fake jersey sales and scam ticket posts and all this nonsense you see out there. There are some great groups, though. If I can call one out, I will say that New York Rangers #NYR is a very good one. Excellent admin team. Paulie, Nick, Dave, they're great Rangers fans, great people. I love those guys. Check that out if you're looking for a place to go that they do a nice job of weeding out the people that are there to try to scam you out of money and crap. I am considering starting one, so stay tuned. Also of note, we're on Instagram now, at BlueTruthSB, so check that out. Like the show. Thank you very much. Thank you all for watching tonight. Thank you if you're watching this on replay. Again, follow Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I will be posting when the next show will be, but until then, the next couple days, just get some relaxing in. It's going to be stress and nausea coming up next week, hopefully through mid-June. It is going to take everyone. It's going to drain you. Mark, can we talk our thoughts and not be? I don't believe in there's no such thing as being mean, so you can say whatever the hell you want. I'm not there to police it. It's not. Look, I run outside the box sports talk. There's over 5,000 people. We have no problems. It's the internet. People need to buck up and grow a set. Somebody calls you an idiot, deal with it. You're an adult. So yes, Mark, I can say whatever the hell you want. Let's go Rangers. Al, yes. Kevin, thanks, bro. Kevin, thank you. Seriously, like, I mean, I know I say that a lot. I say that I make it a point to say it at the end of every show because you guys are what makes this fun for me. I owe it to you. It's why I put so much effort into these shows and try to prepare content because it means a lot to me. I mean, I'm getting an hour of your time that you could be spending doing anything else in the world, but you're spending it with me, and I appreciate that. So it's yeah. I mean, that's what I do. Mark's in. I like to hear Mark. So again, thank you all for watching. We'll let you know when the next show is going to be. But until then, if you want to watch tomorrow night's game, go ahead. I think it's going to be basically a preseason game in the, the clothing of a, what's it called? Oh, right. It's not going to matter. I mean, I'm actually going to. I'm curious from like the train wreck standpoint. Like, who are they going to just like pass the puck to each other? It doesn't matter. Nobody can move up and down. They just don't want to get hurt. Mike, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Brian Miller, thank you, sir. If you're new to the show, Brian, thank you. I like the page. I appreciate that. I always love seeing new names, as I said. Carl, love this show. It's like therapy for Rangers fans. Carl, you're the man. I always love interacting with you. It's great. Thank you so much. And that means a lot. So thank you. Peter, let's go Rangers. Of course. Absolutely. So as we wrap up, let's get ready for the playoffs. Keep your eye on the page. Keep your eye on all of the content. Nancy, love you too. I wish I was in Florida. My wife keeps wanting to take my son back to Disney, but it's always so hot. I got to go in January. We went in January for his 4th birthday last year. 70. It's fine. I'm good with that. So anyway, let's go Rangers. See you in a couple days. I think we start Monday or Tuesday. We'll see. We'll see. We're going to play. We'll know tomorrow night.